So is Facebook a good buy? Well, our next guest says it's the Great White Hope. Joining us from Singapore this morning, Napoleon Biggs, Senior Vice President and Head of Digital Integration at Fleischmann Hillard, joins us. Great to have you back on the program, Napoleon. So a lot of our guests today saying it's too rich and it's not for retail investors, but you're saying, well, why isn't it worth $38 if Google's priced at $623?
Yeah, the problem I see is that people are looking at the wrong numbers. I just heard all your previous reports. I looked this morning at the price of Google, and Google is actually $600 a share. And Facebook is selling, what is it, 34? I'm not a finance person, but it seems like there's a lot of room there to play with.
It's John Dawson here. Would you personally buy shares in this? How much hype is involved in this?
Who says I haven't got shares in Facebook already? There was a secondary market of shares available before it went into IPO, but yes, I would buy shares in Facebook.
You must be very well connected to get those secondary shares of Facebook. But people are really concerned right now, Napoleon, about monetization. Yes, they have 900 million users. I get it, but you're valuing yourself at half the value of Google. Yet you have 1/10 the sales.
True, but remember that the advertising on Facebook has only just started in the last 2 years, and the ad industry has taken 10 years to understand the internet in general. It's taken them 10 years to understand how to put banner ads and how to buy search words on Google. 2 years is a very short period of time for people to understand a new format of advertising. I've seen in the last 2 years, Facebook has actually set up sales teams here in Singapore and Hong Kong to go for that, to educate the market about what it is that they're selling. They're not selling the standard online advertising unit. They've changed the whole model, and it takes time for people to understand what it is they're buying. I think once the market understands that what the ad formats are and the value out of it, then you will see immense growth in their ad revenues.
How long will it take for the market, Napoleon, to understand that? Because clearly the question is, what are you paying for when you buy these shares? What are the tangible assets? Because there are none, it would seem.
It's not just advertising that you're paying for. You're paying for people's attention. If you look at all of the numbers, people's attention is moving away from the amount of hours they spend on TV, the amount of hours they spend in newspapers, radio, is declining, and they're spending more time on things like Facebook, where they, possibly 2 to 4 hours a day in some cases. A lot of people are using it for their own uses. You start to see more and more people using it for work use. And I think it's people's attention that is important. You've got their attention. You've got their undivided attention. Now you have it on mobile phones. They are then saying, okay, let's find a new way to interact with people on these different channels, and let's find a way to monetize it for brands, for people who want to reach out to all these audiences whose attention we've got.
But that's the knock on Facebook, Napoleon, is that they're not as, shall we say, present on the mobile space. I mean, they were invited to introduce this app for iPhones, which they didn't do a good job when Steve Jobs was alive, and they just barely got into the space recently. People are saying, well, when are you going to make money going mobile for Facebook?
They may have got into the space recently, but they've already got 488 million people using their mobile apps. So a combination of their mobile apps and the mobile web. So time in the internet, doesn't really mean very much. I think they're already testing new ad formats on mobile. They're putting featured stories in people's news feeds, which is nowhere near as invasive as a banner ad that appears on your mobile phone. Remember, the space that you have on a mobile phone is very limited. The real estate, as it's called in the advertising world, is very limited. To have a banner ad that takes up 1/5 of the screen is quite annoying. But to have a few sentences in a newsfeed is nowhere near as invasive. And if it's relevant to you, why not click on it? I think that they're testing new formats, and I think people are starting to understand, how to use it, how to interact with the user. They're very focused on the experience that the individual has, which is why they have grown so rapidly, which is why people are spending so much time on Facebook.
And we just talked about new challenges that Facebook faces now that they have investors to answer to. How do you think this is going to change FB?
I think the transparency is good because it's going to force them to share a little bit more about the data you were just talking about. I also think that there will be some restrictions because they've been a very adventurous company now. I'm hoping that they have that innovation, keep it going. The privacy issue, actually, I have to tell you, I'm amazed that every time the media covers it, Facebook adds another 10, 20 million users. I don't really know how much people care about this. I do see that the advertising industry is working very closely with Facebook to see how they can take all this data they have and turn it into more bespoke solutions. There's rumors that Facebook is going to start its own ad network, which basically means that they can take your profile and target you as you take a journey through the internet, which I think is a very interesting model and has money potential. In terms of China, the interest, I heard an earlier report talking about China, but I think most people are looking to target Chinese companies going out of China to the U.S.
All right. Napoleon, thank you for your time. Napoleon Biggs, Senior Vice President, Head of Digital Integration of Fleishman Hillard.